The 2022 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series heads into its closing stages. For the final time in the 8-round championship, we head to the desert, we head to Sparta, Nevada. 3 weeks ago, when we first came to this 0.9-mile facility, questions were in the air. Who would stand out on top? Who would stake their claim for the championship? But now, things have changed. The strongest have stood tallest. Today, the road to the championship continues to wind down. Today, the championship favorites will stand out. Hello and welcome to RaceBot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. My name is Arjuna Kankipati. Alongside, as always, is Joshua Lee. Josh, it's a lot of new things getting ready for day. Plenty of old things as well, though. The track is familiar. The drivers know where we're going. But before, of course, we get underway with the Pro Championship Series drivers, our All-Stars are ready to have some fun.
And this All-Star Series has been very, very entertaining so far this season. And I think in contrast to a lot of other All-Star Series, we've really seen these drivers go battling head-to-head on the racetrack. We've seen Zachary Drapkin and we've seen Luke Knupp run away at the front, but towards the midfield, I mean, talk about Keenan Kuzin, talk about Justin Malillo, drivers who didn't really expect to run up front, who have been battling for these All-Star race wins.
And it's such an eclectic field. We have those real-world drivers that have very much shown their strength, but we've also seen some sim drivers work their way forward, including iRacing's own Tyler Hudson. Let's talk very quickly about the schedule, because while the Championship Series drivers campaign in just one car, the Pro 4 truck, four-wheel drive, 900 horsepower, today sees the All-Stars return to the Pro 2 Light. Two-wheel drive cuts down on the horsepower to around 400, but at this bull-ring-like facility, passing is not that easy. It requires physicality, especially compared to Wild Horse Pass last week. Joshua Lee, talk us through the 0.9 miles in Sparta, Nevada.
And it is a very, very unique course. You can see almost all of these corners are hairpin turns, and 3 of them going over to the left. Only turn 2, a very, very tight right-hander at that, right after a jump as well. This track is large in elevation change. You have to go straight uphill for turn number 1, shades of Coda. You have to go right back downhill at the exit of turn 4. This track is very, very unique and has its own set of challenges that are unique to the other courses that we've seen on the calendar.
And of course, remember, after today, we go back to longer tracks to round out the season. Next week to the Rolling Hills of Michigan, and then to Wisconsin, to Crandon, to close out the championship. A long way still to go, but the All-Stars are ready to get us underway. Let's dial you through today's starting grid for the first race of the evening, and it's the 2 out front that will continue to tango. Zachary Drapkin, Luke Knupp in the Red Line All 56 and the Ultra Motorsports 29. We'll start on the front row with Keenan Kuzin, Ryan Burden, and an all-traction GG affair on row number 2. Penny Arcade's Chris Owens lines up inside of Wes Graham in the number 88, while rolling from 7th is the Altus Esports Michael Cozy Jr. 99. Elliot Watson has been quick the last couple of weeks, but has some work to do from 8th. Michael Lawrence, Brendan Lichtenberg make up the rest of the top 10, with Blake Reynolds and Trevor Teal for Team General Tire and Nitro Circus behind them. Adam Briggs and Justin Malillo will bring up the rear of our field with just 14 cars stacked up for today's racing. Of course, do remember, if you like this sort of racing or anything you can do in iRacing, new memberships are 40% off. Head over to iRacing.com to get started on your journey to the checkered flag. Joshua Lee back to the Pro 2 Light after the Beetle mixed things up last time out. Drivers are going to be excited, and we've got the 2 that have impressed ready to go at the front once more.
This is going to be a heated battle between these two at the front, but I mentioned Keenan Kuzin, I mentioned Justin Malillo. Watch for them. How about Christopher Owens making his first start tonight? He starts right outside the top 5.
Field will begin to roll. Get a short pace lap under their belt, and then we'll get underway as well. Remember, we're not really tracking a championship with these All-Stars. We're more thinking about the fun, we're more thinking about the excitement, but if you were tracking it, Zachary Drapkin has finished on the podium in every single one of the races so far. Let's not forget, Josh, we get the full invert for the second race of the evening, but it's a short run to get underway. Drapkin and Knupp will lead us on the run up into turn 1, fighting side by side all the way through into the corner. Knupp gets the elbows out immediately. Drapkin shoves him wide. Keenan Kuzin with the up and under will plunge down the hill, make it 3 wide for the lead.
An impressive crossover move at that from Keenan Kuzin at the exit of turn number 1, but Knupp now gonna get physical as he tries to go for second. He will cover off that second spot. Here comes Ryan Burton as well. He's now side by side with Mr. Arrow there in third place, but Keenan Kuzin gets clear for third. Now knocking on the door, Luke Knupp trying to take second.
Remember, this is a combo that we've seen before. The drivers might just have a little bit more experience. Knupp gets a great run out of turn 3, forces Drapkin to go defensive. In the air on the run to turn 4, nice and tidy. They'll work, they hold on, they survive. It will be Drapkin that holds on to the race lead. But lap number 1 sees Drapkin ahead of Knupp, Arrow, Burton, and Watson, the top 5.
And Drapkin trying to pull away at the front of this field, and it is working to his advantage. Knupp tries to go back to the inside as we go south of 6 minutes left in this race. Knupp's going to get there, and we're going to see this a lot tonight, where they're going to get side by side at the exit of turn number 1, but they can't really keep that momentum up, and that is normal. Normally, whoever gets that best line, which is a little bit to the outside at the exit of turn number 1, is going to keep the momentum and get the best run down the hill. So as they work their way now through turn 3, we go on board with Traction GG's Keenan Kuzin as he sees a side-by-side battle starting to brew again for that race lead.
It's the two out front that have been impressive all the way through the campaign. Keenan Kuzin has had spurts of pace, spurts of consistency as well, running nicely now, but got a bit of a shove we saw there from Ryan Burton behind. They are side-by-side as up into the air over the line they'll go. 3 laps complete, time ticking away, contact in the air, Drapkin shoved out wide, Knupp tries to shove him even further. Knupp will slide to the race lead, but while they fight at the front, they're not being allowed to run away from those behind them. Even Elliott Watson, after a difficult qualifying performance, is up to the top 5.
And here comes Drapkin immediately to try and get that lead back, Arjuna. I'm wondering where he's going to try and do it. Turn 3, not really known as one of the best passing opportunities. Knupp did it exactly how he should have, as Drapkin now gets a little bit desperate up on 2 wheels in that Pro 2 on the inside retaining wall. But going into turn number 1, Knupp did perfectly what he had to do, which was get to the inside, use a bit of that bumper, and complete the pass. Yes, it was physical, but in these trucks, that's exactly what you have to do to make those passes happen.
And it is such a committed track as well. There's so few corners, the margins can be substantial if you don't execute properly. Turn 4 may be the most technical and committed of them all. In the air, as you land and get into the entry of the corner, you have to make sure you set the car up properly. With all of these jumps, Josh has talked about it over the course of 2022. Inertia in the air, using the inputs to control the pitch of the car, going to be vital, going to be important. Top 3 starting to break away from Ryan Burton in that 91. Drapkin gives a bit of a shove to Knupp as they work through turn 3. A bit more barging, Drapkin looking to the inside.
There's a bit more of that contact that we were talking about, but Knupp is going to give it back. Another door slam to one of his friends on the sim. These two have raced each other in multiple leagues, and they're doing it again here in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series All-Stars, and side by side now for the race lead as Keenan Kuzin sits watching from third. If anything happens to these top 2, he's going to be in the exact spot that he needs to be to get this race win. With 3 minutes left to go, Arjuna, they're still side by side for this lead. Drapkin gonna get a great run off of turn 1 and down the hill.
I don't think you can discount Keenan Kuzin regardless of the level of contact in front. It looks like he's content not pushing the issue just yet. Knupp will throw to the inside of turn 3, gets a better drive off of the corner, but Drapkin will be given the inside for the next part of the corner. Sliding through they go. Bit of overlap there. Drapkin will hold on for the time being. Kusin right on the tail. Ryan Burden trying to make his way forward, stuck in no man's land for the time being because Elliott Watson has been unable to hunt down that 91. Through the final corner, they go once more. Less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Knupp still searching for a way on through. Keenan Kusin, too committed in turn 4, goes into the catch fence.
Here comes teammate at Traction GG, Ryan Burton, right on by. Now has Elliott Watson behind as the top two continue to try and fight. And take a look at that dive to the inside for Elliott Watson in the 3. Can't get enough of a run off of turn 1, but behind them, how about Christopher Owens? First start for him with the Penny Arcade crew. He sits in P6. And then how about Mikey Lawrence? Typical speed from him as he sits P7, but still Drapkin and Knupp, the top two. Arjuna, same verse, pretty much the same as we've had all season long.
Of course, while Wild West Motorsports Park no longer open in the real world, the beauty of iRacing is we can preserve these facilities across the globe. Watson will throw it to the inside of Kusin, who's forced to give him room, forced to slide up into the dirt on the exit of the final corner. Watson will get the drive. They door each other in the air. Kusin's being forced to compromise all the while, still trying to push for what he can. In the air, Keenan Kusin will slide to 5th, but straight back to the inside.
Look at that physical move as he pushes the 3 of Watson all the way to the outside. Not just one spot lost for Watson, but how about 2 getting lost as he tries to make one of them up back on Mikey Lawrence. Another dive to the inside for Watson in the Yokohama number 3. Now over that small jump there, not as large as the jump we saw at Bark River a couple of weeks ago, and the jump we'll see next week at Bark River. But Watson looking to get physical with Owens now side by side as they go over the whoop section.
And to correct myself, when we came to Wild West a couple of weeks ago, it was in the big Pro 4 truck, 900 horsepower, very different to the 400 horsepower two-wheel drive Pro 2 lights. They're wheeling now. Watson trying to battle with Owens. Kusin able to get some separation, tidying himself into 4th as they come around to start what will be the penultimate lap of the race. The battle for the race lead has stagnated. Drapkin and Knupp have tried slowing slide job after slide job at one another. It's Drapkin that leads for now, but time is winding down.
It's white flag right now. Arjuna Knupp knows that he doesn't have much time left. He sends it to the inside, but that's through the right-hander. Now they'll have to go back to the left as the red line oil number 56. The Drapkin tries to cover off the spot, and he does. Both of them take a little bit of a hit to the Jersey barrier on the inside. Down the back straightaway, Drapkin has the advantage.
It slowed their momentum. Is there a chance for Knupp to throw a slide job in the final corner? He'll get the bumper out, will force the red line oil truck up out of the line, and Luke Knupp has made Zachary Drapkin's life miserable the last couple of weeks. He'll win once more here at the Wild West Motorsports Park. Winner, winner, chicken finger dinner. Zachary Drapkin continues the streak of podiums. 2/10 separates the top 2.
I've mentioned Luke Knupp and Zachary Drapkin both racing each other a lot in a league competition, so I don't think that move was really done in a bad light. It's just now Zachary Drapkin knows he can do that exact same thing to Luke Knupp in the next race in their battle for the race to win of race 2.
Full invert will make it interesting, albeit with just 14 cars today, maybe less chaotic than what we've seen so far. Here's a look at those race results. Just 8 laps. These races will fly on by. Luke Knupp, a 10th and a half clear of Zachary Drapkin, the best 2 that we've seen over the course of this All-Star Invitational. It's a Traction GG 3 and 4, but flipped around compared to how they started. Ryan Burton getting in front of Keenan Kusin with the 03's mistake through the final corner. Elliott Watson back up into the top 5 for Team Yokohama. Chris Owens will finish in 6th with Blake Reynolds in 7th. Mikey Lawrence, Wes Graham, and Adam Briggs make up the rest of the top 10. Michael Cozy Jr., Brendan Lichtenberg, and Justin Melillo all involved in some sort of shenanigans, as was Trevor Teal in the 72 Nitro Circus Star car, the only car not to be on the lead lap. So that wraps up race 1 of the evening for the All-Stars. The full invert, though, will make things exciting. That's coming up, though, after a message from our friends at Vision Wheels. Vision Wheels is a proud partner of your 2022 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. One of the world's leading providers of custom wheels for cars and trucks, Vision Wheels has partnered with iRacing to present the Vision Wheels Pole Award, given to the driver that posts the fastest lap in the qualifying session for your Championship Series drivers. The All-Stars are ready to have some fun. Race 1 was done, and it was the two at the front that continued the dance that's been going on for now a month plus. It was Luke Knupp and Zachary Trapkin that battled once more, and Joshua Lee, they get ready to carve their way forward again. Slightly fewer cars than we've had so far in this All-Star Invitational, and I cast my mind back to 7 days ago when it was not easy to work their way forward.
No, and I think it's going to be a little bit easier here, but you got to remember, Wild West still very, very difficult to make passes without really sending it to the inside of anybody.
Here's that look at that elevation down through turn 1. It really drops away from you. Here's the look, though, at the starting grid, your CBR starting grid for the fully inverted race 2 of the evening. Trevor Teal, Justin Melillo will start on the front row with Brendan Lichtenberg, Michael Cozy Jr. right behind them. The 777 of Adam Briggs at least didn't go up and over in that first race, while Wes Graham will line up on his outside in 6th spot. Mikey Lawrence and Blake Reynolds 7th and 8th in some matching black and red machines. Chris Owens and Elliot Watson complete the top 10 with Keenan Coos and Ryan Burden again for Traction GG 11th and 12th. Zachary Trapkin, Luke Knupp 13th and 14th positions. If you're watching on, you enjoy this type of racing or anything else you see here on the iRacing Esports Network, head over to iRacing.com where new memberships are 40% off. There is something for everyone here on iRacing, of course. This week, Josh, we kicked off the World of Outlaws Butt Kicker Late Model Series. Some more dirt action going on. It's always good to have a busy period of racing here on the iRacing Esports Network.
And another exciting championship developing for the late models over there in the World of Outlaws world as well, with a photo finish in the feature race of last Monday's action, and all Mondays now following. You can see that World of Outlaws Butt Kicker Late Model Championship Series, and CarQuest Sprint Cars are also starting up soon. That qualifying series starts up in October, so we've got sprint cars on the horizon as well.
Plenty of dirt racing to tickle your fancy here on iRacing. Of course, your eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series runs every couple of Tuesdays. Next week is their All-Star Races. They get a week off from the competitive racing, but the competitive juices will still be flowing with points not on the line. You know, drivers want to assert themselves on top. The Porsche qualifying series as well for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup has begun underway on Saturdays. RaceSpot TV has you covered as we begin our way to wind up for another World Championship. Time expires. We're ready to start going for the second race of the night. After this, just 4 races will remain. The question is, for Zachary Trapkin, for Luke Knupp, how easy will it be to work their way forward? Don't count out Trevor Teal in that Nitro Circus star car for maybe springing a surprise as well. He's got track position, has some decent pace. Let's see if he can convert to victory lane as the pace truck will pull off. The field's in control of Trevor Teal in the Nitro Circus star car. 14 ready to rumble at Wild West. The Gladiators fly up into turn number 1 on board with the 777 of Adam Briggs. Gives the bumper to Brendan Lichtenberg as they funnel their way through the corner. Chaos as Michael Cozy Jr. almost goes up and over. Somehow, no cars roll. Trevor Teal leads down into turn 2.
Cozy was very, very close to rolling, but did not. How about Blake Reynolds for Jim Beaver Esports? Stuck middle 3 wide, and who's that going over? That's the number 3 of Elliot Watson. Somebody else on their side. Can they save it as well? I believe that is Michael Cozy Jr. He got up on 2 wheels in turn 1, now up on 2 wheels again, as take a look at who's already knocking on the door of a top 5. Luke Knupp already up to 5th.
They just seem to be able to find their way through the chaos. Trapkin not far behind as well, has a couple of cars splitting him from his competitor from earlier on in the evening. Knupp will try and get past Wes Graham in the battle for 4th as we jump on board with Jim Beaver Esports' Blake Reynolds as he pilots the Team General tire machine across the line over the jump and up the run into turn number 1. Landing a little bit treacherous there. Reynolds forced to the outside as cars with technical issues in front. Wes Graham gets a tag to the rear end. He holds onto that car, makes contact as they plunge down the hill. This is why being in the heart of the pack is so dangerous. Reynolds to the inside.
And you can see all the beating and banging now. The 91 gets loose on the inside. He almost went around. He's able to save it, continue on. That's Ryan Burton in that number 91, as we see Knupp make a move on Brendan Lichtenberg. Still side by side now between those two, now battling for P3 on the track, with Blake Reynolds knocking on the back door of Mikey Lawrence in front for a spot in the top 5.
So while Knupp was able to go forward quickly up to third already, as behind him Lichtenberg had a bit of a moment there, I do believe. Drapkin still stuck down in 10th, unable to convert in the same way as Knupp. Still sliding back and forth. The Team i5G number 10 machine sees around the outside a couple of cars trying to spring the surprise, but Lichtenberg will hold off for now. Lawrence and Reynolds will be side by side as they enter into turn number 3. Trevor Teal has a 2-second advantage. Luke Knupp is slid in front of Justin Melillo. He'll be watching in the rear mirrors now.
Now, Trevor Teal might not be as quick as Knupp and Drapkin, but he has raced almost the exact same, maybe even more experience on this off-road iRacing platform, so he knows what to do to get to the front and stay up front. And I think that's exactly what he is looking to do here, as he will have the number 29 Luke Knupp in his rearview mirror very, very soon. How defensive is Trevor Teal gonna get? We know that no real points on the line here, Arjuna, so I think Trevor might try and get very aggressive to hold on to this race lead that ultimately is just for bragging rights, but against Luke Knupp, that's gotta mean something.
Yeah, that real-world experience, but of course someone that we thought might be competing with the Championship Series drivers. Blake Reynolds, a bit of contact through turn 1, emerges 3 wide with Keenan Kusin and Zachary Drapkin in the battle for 7th position, as Kusin will force Drapkin to give room. Reynolds gets checked up at the bottleneck. That is turn number 2. The two of them continue to slide backwards as they got all sorts of tangled up with one another. 9th and 10th, Kusin and Reynolds continue to slide backwards.
And now south of 3.5 minutes left to go. That gap between Teal and Knupp has come down, but not by a ton, as we take another look at the front two. Where's Knupp gonna try and do it? Where is he willing to go? You mentioned this track, Arjuna, being you have to commit to each corner. I think that's just how you have to pass in these trucks, and that's especially how you have to do it in the World Championship. You have to commit to every single pass that you make. If you don't, that pass will not happen.
To some degree, these cars punish drivers more than the Championship Series drivers, as Luke Knupp still trying to search for a way past for the race lead. Remember, the top-level drivers have 900 horsepower and 4-wheel drive. The car can help them if they just get on the loud pedal and ensure that they use the power to get them back where they need to be. With 400 horsepower and 2-wheel drive, it is not only easier to lose the rear end of these cars if you break traction, but also there is less power to push you forward to get the momentum going back where it needs to go. So to some degree, it's harder for Luke Knupp to try and maybe get on past than it would be in a Pro 4. Here comes the challenge through turn 1, a great run out of the final corner. Knupp back to the race lead. Teal can have nothing to respond to that one. Knupp, with 2 minutes left to go, hits the point once more.
And now Knupp's going to try and run away. Does Teal have anything left in the tank to fight with? He'll slide it into turn number 2, trying to get enough of a slide, but he's going to overdo it. These Pro 2s, very, very easy to do that. Only 2-wheel drive in these Pro 2s. The Pro 4s we'll see later on tonight have all-wheel drive. It's much easier to catch those slides here. It is a little bit more difficult, as I mentioned. Justin Melillo, top of the show, Arjuna. Look at him at the edge of the podium now, fighting with Mikey Lawrence behind.
I am trying not to get too excited for Justin because I want him to get this podium. What a spot it is. Lawrence behind, Drapkin closing fast as well, as the red line all 56 will squeak in front of the Team i5G number 10 of Brendan Lichtenberg. Only a couple of laps to go here as we come up to the line once more. Melillo will give the space to Mikey Lawrence, who will slide to the inside, does not need a second invitation. Justin tries the up and under, and down the hill, the Traction GG machine emerges in front.
And Justin Melillo now on the outside. Here comes Lawrence back to the bottom. Here comes Zachary Drapkin as well. That is going to be 2 positions lost for Melillo unless he can hang it to the inside with Drapkin Drapkin on the outside. The 56 gets pushed a little bit further up the road, and Melillo able to hold on to fourth. Drapkin's not done. A huge boost of momentum down the straightaway for Drapkin, slides into the final corner, and that's move done and further into the top 5 for the 56.
Justin tried the same move the second time around, but Drapkin spoiled the party, got to the inside before Melillo could cut back. Justin's road forward interrupted right there. Final lap of the race. Justin Melillo now sees Brendan Lichtenberg try and go to the inside of the Team i5G driver. Will get it done, blocks the path for Melillo as they go down the hill at the front of the field. Running away is Luke Knupp, 2.9 seconds clear of Trevor Thiel.
And this is a well-deserved win for Luke Knupp. He'll take home both tonight if he brings it across the start-finish line with that checkered flag in hand. And from all the way at the back of the field, P14 all the way to the front, dominating performance to say the least.
It is double delight for Luke Knupp here on National Chicken Finger Day. If you're wondering why we're celebrating with the call of winner, winner, chicken finger dinner, it's because Luke Knupp is to victory lane for the second time tonight with 4 races left to go. The teenager has stamped his authority. The 2022 iRacing Off-Road All-Star Invitationals. Trevor Thiel will come across the line in second in front of Mikey Lawrence with almost photo finish to the line. The shock will be for Zachary Drapkin as there's a pile-up in turn 1 and a traction GG machine, and not just in the air but in the catch fencing as well. The run of podiums for the Red Line All 56 will come to a close. Here's a look at your race result. It's 4 seconds the margin for Luke Knupp with a double victory here tonight. Trevor Thiel, Mikey Lawrence, the rest of the podium. Zachary Drapkin and Brendan Lichtenberg making up the rest of the top 5. With Justin Melillo and Keenan Kusin, 6th and 7th for Traction GG, the 53 will be impressed and happy with that. Adam Briggs, Wes Graham, and Blake Reynolds complete the top 10. Behind them in 11th spot sees the Team Yokohama car of Elliott Watson, struggling a little today, but he's been on fire the last few rounds of this All-Star Invitational. Chris Owens and Ryan Burton, again, the final cars in the lead lap with just one not making it to the end of this race, not just one, not on the leading lap. Michael Cozy Jr. in the Altus Esports number 99. Almost rolled once through turn 1, excuse me, then rolled through turn 2 eventually. It was not to be deprived. Well, the All-Stars have had their fun, but it's time to get down and dirty for the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Your Championship Series drivers are coming up next on the iRacing Esports Network.
There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated, where grilling traditions and new techniques are perfected. Here in Big Green Egg Country, you can grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Simple delight, easy to use, comes with a free lifetime warranty. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Shop online for home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's biggreenegg.com.
Just 6 races remain in your 2022 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. The series heads to the desert for the final time as your gladiators head to Sparta, Nevada to kick off the run to the championship here live on the iRacing Esports Network. Today's coverage of the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series is brought to you by CBR Performance Products, the partners that bring you the CBR Hard Charger Award and your starting grids. Hello everyone, welcome to the iRacing Esports Network. Welcome to RaceBot TV, where my name is Arjuna Kankipati, joined alongside, as always, by the ever-wonderful Joshua Lee. And Joshua, we had a rather quiet All-Star Invitational race, which is somewhat unusual, but I think we know the anticipation is all about these Championship Series level drivers who, with just 6 races left to go, 3 meetings left in the series, have it all to play for, whether it be the championship itself or bragging rights or even the top 10 and the championship prizes that lurk in front of them.
And something else that is going to be lurking a lot of the drivers towards the tail end of this points championship, how about relegation? We haven't even touched that yet this season, but we will have drivers that next year will have to go back to the qualifying series and try again. So now we have drivers who maybe the championship's out of range, but they got to protect themselves from getting relegated out of the series.
Let's talk about the schedule. Let's talk about the journey that we're going through over the course of 2022. Remember, 8 rounds, but only 4 tracks. It means that every track is visited twice. We're on that second swing right now. After this, we go to 1.5-mile facilities for the next 2 rounds. Bark River and Crandon, very different to the Wild West Motorsports Park. I mentioned it during the All-Stars. Wild West Motorsports Park closed its doors in 2021, but it lives on in iRacing, where we can enjoy the pleasures of the 0.9 miles, the 4 turns that this dirt short course has to offer. Joshua Lee, talk us through the elevation changes at Wild West.
Well, it starts right at that start-finish line that is already on a jump. You hit another jump, land down into the valley, and then shades a Circuit of the Americas straight uphill into turn number 1. And then, just as quickly as you were up there, go straight downhill at the exit of that corner, into a jump section going into the right-hander of turn 2, into yet another jump section going into the sweeping left-hander of turn 3, and then more jumps down the back straightaway, and then through the left-hander of turn 4, another sweeping corner, and then right back downhill into a valley. This track has a little bit of everything.
It is a fun track with just about 15 minutes east of Reno, Nevada. Let's talk to you, though, about how points get paid out and where we stand with just a few races left to go. It starts in qualifying, 5 points on the line, and your Vision Wheel Pole Award. Only a couple of drivers have been able to stamp their names at the top of the qualifying standings, but it builds from there. A top 8 invert for the first race of the evening sees pole position start back in 8th, but the race winner walks away with 50 points, decreasing by increments of 2 from there. We invert the top 8 for the second race of the evening. We go again, 50 points again to our race winner, all the way down to 4 for just 24th position. $25,000 is on the line. Our champion will walk away with $10,000. And as we look at the championship standings, there are just 2 names that have stood out and been consistent over the course of the championship. It is Keaton Swain. It is Connor Barry. We can't count out Josh Edmondson, who has been lurking in the background, still waiting and searching for that first race victory of the season. Felix Roy is in the mix as well, the Canadian in that 91 machine. But 3 points split Swain and Barry after it swung around 7 days ago.
5 second place finishes is keeping Josh Edmondson in the fight for this championship. But Swain and Barry, 3 points separating the top 2 right now. How about Felix Roy? He's sitting in 4th, and albeit 40 points away, or 60 points away, excuse me, from Keaton Swain at the front. He still has a shot at this. Same thing with Killian DeLalmo, and even with all of the issues that Cameron Peterson has had this season, he still has a fighting chance in this championship, and nothing is guaranteed as we still have 300 points on the line over the next 3 events.
Qualifying is underway, and while the drivers go fast, we'll talk to you about some of the storylines of this 2022 campaign. 2 drivers, one here in our previous meeting at Wild West. It was Keaton Swain in the first race and Cam Peterson in the second. It bodes well for the points leader. Other storylines that we want to draw your attention to are some of our award winners. Of course, the Vision Wheel Pole Award is what they're fighting for now in qualifying. Cam Peterson, Connor Barry have 2 apiece. Tommy Horman, the odd man out, just the 1 pole position at Bark River. The big green egg, green flag award, again, say that one 5 times fast, has really seen a mix of things. Only 4 of the 10 award winners that have led lap number 1 have gone on to win a race. It is not the almighty standout point that we know is going to take you to victory. You have got to survive. And when we talk about our CBR Hard Charger Award, who's able to work their way forward the most over the course of the season, it's been a smorgasbord of drivers. Cody Retzlaff is impressed, as well as Quintin Dellomo, who always seems to have some issues over the course of these qualifying sessions. But with 2 minutes left to go, it's Cam Peterson at the top once more. Alex Bergeron sits in second, Josh.
And Alex Bergeron, straight off of a good performance in the World of Outlaws Butt Kicker Late Model Championship Series as well last Monday night. So he is definitely staying busy in the iRacing World Championships. Anything on dirt, he's going to be a competitor. But how about Christopher Plumley going up to P10 now? We get a good look at Connor Berry as Killian Delomo to the top 3. Let's see if Connor Berry can get back into those podium places on this lap.
Killian Delomo has been flying in qualifying with an average starting spot of 7th, or average qualifying spot, I should say, of 7th. His brother, a little bit more difficult, 7.6, but with a couple of technical issues, it could have been a little bit more. To go back to Bergeron for a second, it's not just that World of Outlaws Late Model World Championship that Bergeron is focused on. I saw him in the Porsche qualifying series for the Porsche Esports Super Cup. We've also seen him campaign in some of the eNASCAR Road to Pro series, so a driver that we know is adaptable, one of the few that has competed across the license levels at the top level of iRacing, but he's trying to do it again. Sits in 2nd for the time being. Tyson Miller jumps to 11th in front of young Jacob Rafos. The margins in qualifying are infinitesimally small. Killian Delomo and Alex Bergeron, Josh, the same almost lap time, 1,000th of a second splits the two of them.
That goes to show how close these drivers really are in speed, and it goes back to what I said about being committed for making passes. This is why you are not going to get many passes done by raw difference in speed. You're going to get the passes done by getting the elbows out and being aggressive for them. That's what all these drivers need to do, because if we take a look, that entire top 15 separated by less than 0.3 of a second on the speed charts.
It's always tense in qualifying, not knowing where your drivers are, only having the faintest reference, what they're doing, where you stack up in comparison to them. But walking away with Vision Wheel Pole Award number 3, Cam Peterson, despite his own technical issues over the course of 2022, has stood tall, and at 6'7", he towers tall once more. He will win the 3rd Vision Wheel Pole Award of 2022. Let's run you down through today's starting grid, brought to you by CBR Performance Products. It will be Quintin Delomo, the Frenchman, that brings us to the green, looking for some redemption for a tough opening portion of 2022. Josh Fox will line up alongside, trying to repeat the victory that he had at Bark River a couple of weeks ago, while the points leader Keaton Swain inside of Josh Edmondson on row number 2. Connor Barry lines up behind his championship rival, with Killian Delomo back in 6th for the Altus Esports team. Alex Bergeron and Cam Peterson, 2 of our winners in 2022, will share row 4 with Felix Roy, Connor Parisi, the Jim Beaver Esports duo, missing out on the top 8, but inside of your top 10. The Terminator, Tyson Miller, lines up 11th inside of the young Jacob Rafos for Team General Tire and Jim Beaver Esports, Christopher Plumley and Brandon Proudfoot, 13th and 14th. Rolling from 15th, it's consecutive disappointing weeks in qualifying for Tommy Holman. Keith Jeffrey rolls alongside with Crystal King in the 278, sharing row 9 with Trenton Briley in the number 17. Terry Miller and Tom Grady complete the top 20. Tony Latin-Mackey and Nick Larson behind them. 2 drivers yet to get into the top 10. Cody Retzlaff, Nicholas Dachelet. Lots of work to do. 23rd and 24th positions. Your race information as 24 cars are ready to go for the first race of the night. 16 laps on the board. Of course, the top 8 inverted from qualifying. And once we finish these 16 laps, our grid will be set for the second race of the evening, where we'll invert the top 8 again. We are still waiting Josh Lee to see a repeat winner in this Off-Road Championship Series on the same evening. It has not been easy with the margins this small, with the competition so high, for drivers to work their way forward.
Connor Berry was close, and there's a couple other drivers that have been close, but it's difficult with that invert, really, to be able to then rally back, because I mentioned how close this field is. Even going from 8th place, which is where the invert will be in race 2, from the winner of race number 1, it's difficult to work your way from 8th to 1st. It's not like the All-Stars with Luke Knupp and Zachary Drapkin just running their way through the field in a full field invert in race 2. It's very, very difficult to make anything happen. So Josh Edmondson, Connor Berry, 2 championship contenders right next to Keaton Swain, of course, with that red plate. They all starting within the top 5 is going to make it at least a little bit easier for our championship contenders to navigate how this race is going to go.
Couple more stats to throw your way. Of the 24 drivers that started at the beginning of this 2022 season, 20 of them have got top 10s, 15 have top 5s, 11 have podiums. It has been well and truly mixed up. 6 have wins, only 3 of them are repeat winners, with Cam Peterson being the first, and of course Alex Bergeron and Keaton Swain, 2-time winners so far in this 2022 season. 3 pole position winners. That trend continues as Cam Peterson stamps his authority on your Vision Wheel Pole Award Championship standings. The field, though, less than 40 seconds away from getting underway. The first of 2 races tonight. And let's not beat around the bush, Josh. This is the last track of its type. From here to Bark River to Crandon we go. A lot longer, a lot more flowing. Very different to what's in store tonight.
And I kind of want to compare Wild West and Wild Horse to maybe like Supercross tracks, where they're kind of very, very condensed. Both of them only 4 corners. And really, if you condense it down even further, you could put it in a bit of a stadium configuration. Well, Bark River and Crandon, I compare those more to motocross tracks. Very wide open, very flowing, much longer, much faster. Both of them are the same type of racetrack, but both of them provide very, very different racing and much more challenging racing than the counterpart.
10 races are in the books. The next 6 will determine the course of iRacing history. 2022 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series needs a winner. Keaton Swain and Connor Barry split by 3 points with 6 races left to go. 3 weeks from today, we'll know who emerges as your champion at Crandon. Today, there are questions left to be answered. It's Rallycross converts that will lead us to the green. Quintin Dalomo and Josh Fox picks up the throttle. We're racing for the 11th time in your 2022 Off-Road Championship Series. A good start from Dalomo, a great start from Swain. Immediate looks to challenge himself on Josh Fox. They plunge down the hill 3 wide. Josh Fox from 2nd to 5th in the blink of an eye.
And Quintin Dalomo now trying to run away as there goes your championship leader to 2nd place. Connor Barry stuck in the middle. One driver stuck on top of another as Barry gets aggressive, takes P4 away. Your 3 championship contenders, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
And now Fox has to contend with sliding to 6th behind him. Cam Peterson unable to make ground on the opening lap of this race. Behind Barry, Fox will fight side by side with Bergeron, but leading lap number 1, Quintin Dalomo will walk away with your Big Green Egg Greek Flag Award winner. We know by no means is that a guarantee of victory. Still 15 laps to go here at Wild West Motorsports Park. Not much splitting the top 10 right now as they funnel through turn 1 once more. Killian Dalomo on the back of Cam Peterson, who's looking to try and find a way past on Josh Fox. What a terrible start it was for the Pennsylvania native, from 2nd to 6th in just 1 lap.
We had a great look at the VR motion rig setup on Cam Peterson, who now fighting as the fastest driver in qualifying. Had to start P8 with the invert, and we see him on board now from P7, making up 1 spot from where he began the evening and trying to catch up to that number 12 Hanson Williams Esports entry of Josh Fox. But how about Alex Bergeron? He sits in 5th right now. A great run so far for him, but I'm just staring at those championship 3. They're 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Arjuna, Edmondson and Barry alike need to get by Swain soon, because as long as Swain is ahead of them both, he's making up points on them both. With not a lot of time left, that is very important for Edmondson and Barry to try and knock Keaton Swain down a few levels.
Keaton Swain on course for what will be the 7th podium in 11 races if it holds as is. Consistency wins championships. It's what the likes of Cam Peterson and company said. There's the look of the live point situation. Now 5 points will split Swain from Barry as it stands. Edmondson trying to catch up. Time is running out for all of them. Of course, remember that as we work to the end of tonight's racing action, if you are within 150 points, you have a mathematical chance of the championship. Realistically, no chance of the championship. On board with Vision Wheels on board as Keaton Swain goes for the race lead, bumping doors with Quintin Dalomo on the run into turn 2. Josh Edmondson has a great view of the action.
And Edmondson wants to get a part of it as Swain moves Dalomo up the road. Here comes Josh Edmondson going for the race lead. He got physical with Dalomo. Now here join the fight. Put a blanket over the top 5. Barry tries to go 3 wide now for the race lead.
Barry bullies Bergeron's into submission for the time being. Swain trying to slide maybe DeLomo out of the way once more. The Hornet's nest has erupted at the front of the field, but the championship leader finds his way to the front. Keaton Swain leads across the line to complete lap number 4. Behind him, Barry looks to follow down on the inside line. DeLomo leaves space for both Barry as well as Bergeron, who bullies his way forward into second. It's a brawl at the front of the field. Barry and Bergeron side by side for second.
What a move by Bergeron. Now what a move by Connor Barry to move him out of the way to go to P2. Barry will take that spot. Edmondson now having a fight from 4th. He gets a little bit of a shot from DeLomo as now Edmondson sits in the 58, P4. Keaton Swain trying to run away, but here comes Connor Barry looking for his first win since Crandon, the second race of the night in the opening round of the campaign. Bergeron cattywampus as he goes over the jump at turn 4.
Been some good car control, even though they've had a shot sent their way. They've been able to control them in the air. Bergeron and Edmondson get together. Edmondson able to bring it back into control. Edmondson holds on for the time being. Quinton DeLomo up and under on Bergeron, who now defends from Josh Fox behind. Great fighting. It's enabled Swain and Barry 1 and 2 in the championship to break away 1 and 2 on the track as well. Edmondson in third knows he got to get forward as quickly as he can. Bergeron slams the door shut on DeLomo.
All Edmondson has to be thinking about now is how is he going to get by Barry and Swain at the front of this field. How about Quinton DeLomo? Started on the pole, was able to hold on for the first part of that race, now sits back P5 behind the wheel of that number 22, and he wants to go back up to the front. As he also has Cam Peterson, who's looking for more positions on the racetrack, sitting, waiting in the wings in P6, and we know that 48 wants a shot at the top 5, and he might be able to take it here in the next couple of corners as the championship 3 still lead the way and set the pace.
Side by side for 7th, Fox on the inside. DeLomo will get through on the inside, barging his way through and opening the door for Jacob Rafos to squeak around the outside of the Williams Esports driver. Serve return there as Fox got the elbows out on Rafos, who now defends from Felix Roy, who's been unable to make any sort of inroad starting outside of that top 8 invert. Roy will slide backwards in line behind his teammate for the time being. For the lead, it's closing up once more. Swain and Barry, well, we've seen them do this before. It's become physical before as well. The question will be, how desperate is Connor Barry? Still a ways to go in this championship.
And Connor Barry now all over the back bumper of the number 21. How aggressive is he going to get here? Because we know as long as Swain's up in front, Barry is making up no points. As long as Edmondson is behind both of these two, he's making up no points to those drivers up in front as well. So now that Barry sits in the wings of second place, is he going to go for the move here? He's gaining, not going to gain enough. Just where is he going to do it? How is he going to do it? Because I think he knows that he has to, because he hasn't gotten a win or even sat on the podium much this season. He only has 4 podium finishes out of 10 points paying rounds so far.
Both these two have been in the top 10 for almost all the season, apart from one black mark on Connor Barry's record. He gets again the bumpers out, forces Keaton Swain wide at turn 1, door open for the 21 to try and slide back to the inside line. Confidence on the part of Connor Barry. Will see him commit wide down through turn 2 they go. Swain and O's in front. They fight again through turn 3. The championship leaders door to door fighting for the win. Connor Barry back to the front.
Still side by side. This battle is not done as Keaton Swain on the inside gonna try and hang it around the outside, but Barry parks it in the apex of turn 4 and give the lead now officially to the 2 of Connor Barry. You know what that did now, Arjuna? Josh Edmondson is starting to close the gap just a little bit. Is he gonna be able to insert himself in in this front battle as Swain not ready to give up just yet, side by side down the hill.
There is a car in front, but it's not posing any difficulties just yet. Next time at the line will be 6 laps to go in the first race of the evening, and your championship leader around at the bottom of turn number 2. Quintin Dalomo will collect him, and while Keaton Swain is able to recover and go in P number 5, drama here at West Motorsports Park.
What on earth just happened to the 21 of Keaton Swain? It looked like he made contact to that inside safer barrier and ended up getting thrown into the air. Now that opens the door wide open for Connor Berry. No pressure for 1.7 seconds, and Josh Edmondson in second, now having to close that gap substantially. Moves Bergeron to third, Peterson further up into the top 5, but Swain, all is not done for him. He might have some damage to that 21, but he stays in 5th, now trying to keep it from Killian Delamo in the 18.
The left front of that wheel arch fender is missing, but Swain is going to be able to defend. This time at the line with 5 laps to go, and for Swain, staying inside the top 5 is going to be paramount to add to the run that he's had so far in 2022. Minimize the damage to the likes of Barry, to Edmondson as well, who run 1 and 2. Connor Barry 2 seconds clear at this point in the race. Killian Delamo fights with Keaton Swain.
They're still going side by side now as we have 5 laps to go in race number 1. And Barry, no pressure out in front. This is the closest battle on the racetrack currently, as Delamo going to get very, very aggressive on the inside. Keeps Swain to the outside line as we see a little bit of a gaggle of trucks back there. And Jacob Rafas, where did he come from? He's up to P7 after starting P12.
Silent Assassin so far does hold the marker as your CBR hard charger so far, as the Team General Tire Machine will fight with Quintin Dalomo. Front left to rear right contact between those two. Parise will scramble on through. A nice grouping of rallycross crossovers enjoying the physicality that they can bring to these off-road trucks. Dalomo had to be very careful, aggressive on Parise, but there goes Felix Roy in the yellow and red, trying to bully his way through on the inside line. The Team General Tire Jim Beaver Esports car has the inside into turn 1.
And how far Quintin Delamo has fallen. He was 8th fastest in qualifying. It started on the pole with the top 8 invert, and how about that aggressive move from Felix Roy on the inside? But that moves Quintin Delamo now back to the edge of the top 10. An unfortunate race for the number 22. Was looking for a bit more, but unfortunately not going to get it in race number 1 of the night. Move the 91 up into P9 behind Connor Parisi. Another one of those silent assassins so far, Arjuna's. He's up 2 spots from starting in the top 10.
Top 8 invert for the second 16 laps of the evening. What is going through drivers' minds as they start to think about what lies in front of them, setting themselves up? The second race of the evening. There's a look at the live standings. It's swapped around. One mistake, Keaton Swain to 6th. Now 9 points, the separation. Connor Barry to the lead of the championship. Up and over goes Keith Jeffrey for the second time this season. Will land on his roof. The 88 car waiting to teeter over. Be able to up and go once more. Keaton Swain still fighting, now trying to hold off the likes of Jacob Rafals and Connor Parise. It's not all in vain for the 21. Remember, top 8 invert. He will line up towards the front if things stay as they are.
And Connor Berry right now with that points lead off of race number 1 is going to be crucial if he wants a shot at that championship. Because now is the time, Arjuna. Only 5 points paying races left after this one, and 2 to go left here in race 1 of the evening. You gotta be thinking only about those points now if you're to the top 3. And how about Josh Edmondson? Take a look at this battle as he tries to just take home 2nd place and some much needed points. Bergeron, an aggressive move to the inside, can't get to the quarter panel, but here comes Cameron Peterson as well to join the fight.
Peterson's been quiet, has not stuck his nose in trouble so far. We'll think about it this time. Bergeron switches back, will get on through on Edmondson. Door open for Peterson to slide past his teammate as well. They'll fight side by side. Edmondson will get back in front of Peterson. Team coordination as they now try and work on the back of Alex Bergeron, make it a Team General Tire, Jim Beaver Esports double podium for this 11th race of the season. Up and over they go once more to the line. White flag in hand, 1 lap to go. Connor Barry, 4 seconds clear.
And what can Cam Peterson do now that Edmondson, his teammate as well, falling a little bit further back now to the edge of the podium? This is going to miss out on Edmondson's much-needed points from third. Wondering how aggressive he's going to get here with Bergeron. Gives him a little bit of a shot on the rear quarter panel, but don't think it's going to be enough unless he makes a killer move in turn 4, but he makes a mistake there, getting on the back bumper of Bergeron. Here opens the door for Peterson for P3.
Wouldn't be shocked if again Peterson lets Edmondson go, knowing that the 58 has the chance to fight for the championship. But out front, after 9 races of seeing other people on top, Connor Barry will win for the 2nd time in your 2022 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. The 2-car takes the championship lead back.
That is exactly what Connor Barry needed to do tonight. We've talked about how he's Mr. Consistent. Well, only for the 2nd time this season, he's able to put it all together, and the cards align for Connor Barry to take home that win.
Maybe for Josh Edmondson, realizing that if he finished in 2nd for what would be the 6th time this season, it wouldn't be what he wanted. That mistake, though, allowed Bergeron to hold the 2nd. Barry, the 2nd win of this 2022 campaign in that number 2 machine. 5 seconds back, Bergeron and Edmondson fought for those final podium positions. Cam Peterson from 8th to 4th in the closing stages. Killian Delomo, Keaton Swain 5th and 6th with the 21, making an uncharacteristic mistake and now finding himself back in the championship battle once more. Connor Parisi, Jacob Rafoss 7th and 8th. Felix Roy and Quintin Delomo make up the rest of the top 10. For Quintin Delomo, after starting on top, slide to 10th will be slightly frustrating. Tyson Miller and Brandon Proudfoot 11th and 12th. Christopher Plumley in the number 36 car comes across the line in 13th. Crystal King, Josh Fox, the rest of the top 15. Tom Grady in the Legion Speed Sport car comes across the line in front of his teammate Nicholas Dachelet, who was able to work from 24th to 17th. Tony Latin-Mackey, Cody Retzlaff, and Keith Jeffrey make up the top 20. Behind them, Trenton Briley, Tommy Holman, the final cars to finish on the lead lap, while struggles for Nick Larson and Terry Miller, the Legion Speed Sport duo, do not make it across the line. 1 race done, the top 8 invert will see the championship situation placed in the hands of the iRacing gods. We'll be back at Wild West for another 16 laps after a message from our friends at Big Green Egg.
There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated, where grilling traditions and new techniques are perfected. Here in Big Green Egg Country, you can grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Simple to light, easy to use, comes with a free lifetime warranty. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Shop online for home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's biggreenegg.com.
Big Green Egg is a partner of the 2022 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. One of the world's leading manufacturers of a premier outdoor cooking system, Big Green Egg has partnered up with iRacing to hand out the Big Green Egg Green Flag Award, given to the driver in each race that leads at the end of lap number 1. Welcome back to RaceSpot TV. Welcome back to the iRacing Esports Network. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, on hand with Joshua Lee as we wind our way closer to the end of this 2022 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Just 5 races are left to go. Let's run you down through the CBR starting grid for another 16 laps of chaos. Jacob Rafoss and Connor Parisi for the Jim Beaver Esports team will line up on the front row. Keaton Swain, Killian Delomo, row 2. Keaton Swain has some work to do after the chaos of race number 1. Cam Peterson and Josh Edmondson, 5th and 6th for the team General Tire and Jim Beaver Esports. Alex Bergeron and Connor Barry, 1st and 2nd in race number 1, find themselves 7th and 8th for race number 2 of the night. Felix Roy again in 9th position with Quintin Delomo on his outside to complete the top 10. Tyson Miller, Brandon Proudfoot will share row 6 while rolling from 13th. Christopher Plumley in the factory Simsport number 36, teammate alongside Crystal King, 278. Josh Fox started 2nd in race 1, slid backwards, and now has a lot of work to do from 15th. Tom Grady will be alongside Nicholas Dachelet, Tony Latin-Mackey, row 9 behind them. Completing the top 20, Cody Retzlaff and Keith Jeffrey share row 10. Trenton Briley and Tommy Holman behind them, while cars not getting to the checkered flag in our first 16 laps of action tonight. Nick Larson, Terry Miller have some work to do from the back of the field. A look from up above at this wild West Motorsports Park, just 15 minutes east of Reno, Nevada, the biggest little city in the world. If you're enjoying the action, you want to work your way to the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series, or anything on iRacing piques your interest with the diversity of motorsports available on iRacing, the world's premier motorsport simulator, head over to iRacing.com, where new memberships are 40% off. Josh Lee, 2 minutes to go before the drivers are locked and loaded, ready to go for the next 16 laps. After tonight, just 2 races will be left. 4 races in racing laps, but 2 meetings will be left to go. It takes us to very different tracks to what we've got here tonight.
But what is on the table right now here in Race 2, Arjuna? We just saw the starting grid. Keaton Swain in 3rd. That is how the top 8 invert works. He had a bad race in race number 1. Now gets to start P3 of race number 2. He might get to pick up all those points that he just let Connor Berry get back.
9 points separate your championship leaders. It swung around after the first 16 laps here. The Nevada desert, the Gladiators are ready to go once more. As we lock them up, we stack them up for 16 more laps. For the 12th time this season, we're underway. It's a great start from Connor Parise. Gets the jump up in towards turn number 1. His teammate Jacob Rafos will try and cover him off as Keaton Swain locks down 3rd position. Chaos and traffic jams through the apex of turn 1. All cars through safely.
Keith Jeffrey's going to get turned towards the middle of the field. Not sure if anybody else involved in that one. Looks like the 88's back going forward, so that's going to be it for that incident. But battle for the lead as Parisi gets up on the Jersey barrier, trying to push his way around Jacob Rafos. Swain in 3rd. Now here he comes to try and find a way around Parisi. The 11's going to block the inside line. The 21 says no thank you, tries to move him out of the way, can't do it.
Connor Barry is in front of Peterson and Edmondson, crucially, leading at the line and winning Big Green Egg Green Flag Award number 2 of the evening. Jacob Rafos leads us up into turn 1 once more. Keaton Swain has made 3rd position his own, looks for 2nd, tries to shove Parise out of the way. He won't get it done for now. It will be Killian Delomo that thinks about a move down into turn 2. The Frenchman backs out of that one, single file for the time being. There's the opportunity. Killian needs no 2nd invitation.
Trying to get as physical as possible here for 3rd as the Altus Esports entry. Now trying to go into 3rd as he gets to right to that rear left quarter panel. Not going to be able to do anything as we ride along with the Big Green Egg on board on Killian Delomo. Looks to the inside, but Swain able to hold on for 3rd. Where is Connor Berry in all this mess? He's about 4/10 back from the driver we're currently on board with.
So 9-point split. Swain and Barry coming into this 2nd race of the night. 2 positions, or 2 points per position. So with 2 spots splitting them, it's now 5 points, the advantage that Connor Barry will have. Single digits margins are not there to be played with in this off-road championship series. A bit of movement back in the pack as Latin Mackie, Retzlaff fight inside of the top 15. They're still single filed at the front, and the one car that we saw up and over, Keith Jeffrey, for the 2nd time today involved in an issue. He will not finish the 2nd race of the night in what's been a difficult couple of weeks for that heat wave machine. There's a look at the points. Confirmation, 5 that will split Keaton Swain and Connor Barry, as Barry got very, very inquisitive about a move there potentially on Killian Delomo. And as we work past this point in the championship, for Josh Edmondson, who is hanging on for all he can, he is starting to be dropped with just 4 races left to go after this.
Starting to see the end of the 58th championship hopes here, but he's still within that fight, needs to make up more positions, and as I say that, looks to the inside of his fellow Jim Beaver Esports competitor in Cam Peterson. We now look on board with the VR headset of Josh Edmondson and that patented lean technique to get all of the possible speed he can out of that truck.
Bit surprised that Peterson is fighting so hard, or maybe he thinks he can help Edmondson by getting past the likes of Connor Barry. This time through the final corner, Edmondson will be allowed the opportunity to slide on through and to focus now on stealing 5th spot away from Connor Barry. So ways to go though in this race. We cross the line, 4 laps in the books of 16. Jacob Rafos continues to lead at the front. His teammate Parise is tucked in behind. Keaton Swain has not tried to move for second since lap 2 of this race. But you've got to think, for Keaton Swain, knowing what's behind the always aggressive Killian Delomo, the championship fighter that is Connor Barry, Swain cannot be sitting comfortably. He's got to look forward. He cannot look back.
That's the only way he can go, is forward, and he has to hope Connor Barry doesn't follow him there, because now that the championship has swapped, with Swain now chasing Connor Barry for that top spot, now Swain's in a much different mindset than he was at the beginning of race number 1. Beginning of race number 1 and beginning of the night, it was, I have to defend, I have to do all I can to keep my lead. Now it's, I have to do all I can to get my lead back. What can he do right now? Pass the 2 drivers in front of him, get to the lead, and he can't really, he has to worry about Connor Barry, what he's doing behind him, but he can't affect anything that the 2 machine ends up doing.
Connor Barry also has to be concerned that he doesn't waste too much time fighting with Killian Delomo. Separation between 3rd and 4th has grown to over a second. Remember, this is one of the 2 tracks that launched in 2019. As iRacing headed to short course racing, these drivers have been fighting since then in private leagues, on national TV as well. Today sees the next step in this World Championship road for the competitors, as they fight for their share of $25,000, as they fight to be recognized in the annals of the iRacing history books. Up in the air and over the line once more. Rafos a little bit clearer this time around. Swain, the opportunity to go under Connor Parise has presented itself. On board with the World Championship veteran of Connor Parise, defending for second.
Defending all he can, but how about that crossover move for Keaton Swain? Outside through the right-hander, tries to look inside through the left-hander, but a beautiful entry to that corner by Connor Parise keeps him in the race, in the second place in the lead of this battle, in the race lead. How about Jacob Rafos right now, Arjuna? Winless so far on the season, looking to improve on a best finish of 5th that he got back in the second race of the season at Crandon.
He was impressive in 2021 in the IRX World Championship Series presented by Yokohama. And now as Keaton Swain is going to not just push Connor Parise wide, but almost sends him up and over. Swain will get through to second, tries to hunt down Jacob Rafos. Parise now sees Killian Delomo slide on through. His teammate, Connor Barry, will try and look to the inside. A bit more contact there. If you are part of Jim Beaver Esports, part of Team General Tire, surely the word should go through the radio. Barry is fighting for the championship. Let him go now.
But you're also talking about the Jim Beaver Esports drivers, which if they don't race each other harder than they race anybody else on the track, they get a little bit offended. They don't really like that. They like to be raced just like anybody else. So I think especially Connor Barry, he doesn't want anybody to lay down for him. And Swain knocking the 11 out of the way. The 2 trying to knock the 11 out of the way in turn 2. Goes to show how important this championship is and how aggressive these drivers are willing to get.
Winding down these laps, when you have 8 of the 24 cars in your roster, as Jim Beaver Esports and the Team General Tire do, there is an expectation that maybe you will play the team games at some point. Did look as though maybe Peterson, Roy, Bergeron almost went up and over at turn 2. They have slid backwards, albeit slightly. We jump on board with the ever relaxed and ever comfortable Connor Barry, who will look to the inside of Parise through the final corner. He's done this before. Slide job attempted again. Some damage, some contact between the 2 of them. Barry steals 4th from his teammate.
Beautifully done by the 2 of Connor Barry, with now 7 laps to go. He tries to set off on yet another podium finishes, trying to get back up to the front. How about Alex Bergeron? It wasn't a good start for him tonight. He's able to get by Felix Roy here in race number 2. And remember, Alex Bergeron started in P7 after a 2nd place finish in race 1. He's almost back up to neutral as Roy goes on 2 wheels with contact with Quinton Delomo and Brandon Proudfoot getting the raw end of the stick there.
Yeah, that's the 6 machine. Some damage to the right side. Now sees challenge from Cody Ratzlaff behind. There's a bit more contact there. We enjoy the physicality of these races. You compare them to what we saw in 2021 with those rallycross cars. These guys able to give shots, and survive through them. Hold on just that little bit more. Nice little number illuminated behind the 525 of Cody Ratzlaff. If you're wondering what number there is, he was. No wonder no longer. Fighting though for 14th and 15th position. 6 to go. Proudfoot slams the door shut on Ratzlaff. At least for now, these guys really bumping and banging. The further down the order you go, the more damage you see. The 535 of Tom Grady missing that right front quarter panel.
Oh, and almost up and over went Cody Ratzlaff there. Another bicycle on 2 wheels by these Pro 4 trucks. It's the good thing about all-wheel drive, Arjuna. Doesn't matter as long as you have one tire touching the ground, you can save that Pro 4 truck. But the lead battle right now with 7/10 separating those two over Foss and Swain. I don't know if Swain's going to have enough time or enough speed to catch up to Jacob Rafoss. It's going to be close, but we know how good that General tire number 13 is. And how about the move by Connor Berry up and into the podium places?
And I think he kind of stopped these guys, basically put the red light out. Delomo defends from Parise, but Barry was able to slide on through in a block sort of a pass way. 3 seconds back from the race leader, about 2.5 from Keaton Swain. What can the current points leader do as the laps tick away? The time continues to wind down. Edmondson in 6th finds himself split from the other championship rivals. For Swain and Barry, they extend their lead at the front as it stands right now to the line. It's a long way to go. Here's a look at the RaceSpot TV replay. You see the lunge from Connor Barry, basically stops on the apex, run into by Killian Delomo, and then able to get the power down. But all's fair in love and war. That looked like a clean move to me.
That shows just exactly how you have to do the move, and he did it before he even got to the apex of the corner. Name me another type of racing other than dirt road where you can make that move.
Oh, Edmondson!
Edmondson gets up and onto the Jersey barrier, almost going to lose the spot to Peterson as they go side by side.
Peterson is now playing as the block, the pick, and he's going to get spun around, albeit momentarily. 3 wide, still banging doors. Bergeron squished by Jim Beaver Esports teammate. Killian Delomo defends from Connor Parise. Up in the air into turn 4 they go. 3 to go at the line this time by as Peterson will lose some ground, some spots, but it's academic. Most importantly, Josh Edmondson has not lost any more ground to the rest of the championship rivals. Side by side into turn 1 they go.
Side by side again as the 112 of Alex Bergeron gets beat out of the way. Now P9 for the 112 of Alex Bergeron. 3 to go in this race though, Arjuna. And Peterson tries to go back to the inside of Felix Roy, trying to get further up and into that top 10. Not that impressive of a showing from Peterson, but I think after the season he's had, he's just looking to finish some races for once.
If you're wondering what we have in terms of stewarding, well, post-race drivers will be investigated for all of these shenanigans. So if there's anything too aggressive, anything that warrants further investigation from the stewards, there's not far to run. 7 points will split Barry and Swain if things hold as they are, with 1.8 miles left to play at West Motorsports Park. They go downhill once more. Jacob Rafoss only half a second clear. And the reason I bring up the stewarding is I do wonder what race control will think about Keaton Swain's move to get to second.
I think it's going to be ruled maybe as clean, although that is a question for our race control and how they're going to judge that one. But how about this side-by-side battle that's continuing still here, Arjuna, between Killian Delomo and Connor Parise. What a season for Killian Delomo. Great coming from Rallycross here into the Pro Trucks, and he makes a good move for 4th, but here comes Parise back to the bottom. White flag this time for Rafoss.
Delomo trying to tie his best finish to 4th for Parise. Just the second time he'll be inside of the top 5 if things stay as they are. 1 lap to go at Wild West, the final short track of this 2022 season. Jacob Rafoss still leads by 0.4 of a second. Keaton Swain, the championship leader, coming into this race. The mistake in race 1 has put him on the back foot. Is it worth it to go for the aggressive move through turn number 4? For Jacob Rafoss, 1 more corner to emerge as a race winner. For Keaton Swain, 1 more corner to solidify himself as a championship holder. hopeful. The Team General Tire Machine will slide through the final corner, and after making history last year as one of the youngest podium winners in iRacing history, today he will win. Jacob Rafos is an iRacing winner. The 15-year-old conquers all here at Wild West.
How about that for the 13 of Jacob Rafos? Drove the race exactly how he needed to. Finished 8th in race number 1, gave him the pole position for race 2, and did not fall from it all race long. Beautifully done by the 13.
Came into the season thinking about the crossovers. Crandon showed that rallycross drivers can go fast in trucks as well. They have really emerged as names to be counted. Jacob Rafos will win today and celebrate in CBR Victory Circle. As we look at your race results once more, Jacob Rafos half a second clear of Keaton Swade, who minimizes the bleeding. Will be disappointed though to drop points as Connor Barry takes back the championship lead with just 4 races left to go. Connor Parisi for Jim Beaver Esports gets his best finish of the season in 4th, while Killian Delomo adds the top 5 count in the Altus Esports number 18. For Josh Edmondson, disappointment today as his championship hopes took another nail in the coffin. Felix Roy working up to 7th, while Cam Peterson, pole position, unable to convert to points, but helping his teammates in the championship cause. Alex Bergeron, after being up at the front in the first race of the evening, battled in the mid-pack to come across the line in 9th, with Christopher Plumley rounding out the top 10. Behind them, Quintin Delomo in 11th with Crystal King in 12th. Tom Grady, Brandon Proudfoot make up the top 14, with Cody Retzler making up the top 15 in front of a duo of Legion Speed Sport teammates, Nicholas Dachelet, Terry Miller, the 23 and the 9, 16th and 17th. Tony Latin-Mackey for Black Star Racing in 18th in front of Josh Fox and Tyson Miller. While 4 more cars started, not all made it to the end. In 21st position, Nick Larson in the 802 emerges in front of Tommy Holman, Trenton Briley, and Keith Jeffrey, with 3 cars involved in incidents, a couple of them going up and over, not finishing on the lead lap. We will take a moment and gather our breath before we get down to CBR Winner's Circle, where we'll be joined by the young Jacob Rafos and Connor Barry. One familiar name, one somewhat surprising name. Jacob Rafos, Josh Lee, has been impressive in 2022 with some good pace, has not always converted it, and let's not forget that Jacob is racing at some rather uncomfortable hours in the morning in Europe.
And what a performance from him, especially piggybacking off of the season that he had in the iRacing Rallycross World Championship and qualifying for that. A rising star there, and then coming into tonight's performance and finally getting atop of the podium and going into the winner's circle. It's a beautiful story from Jacob Rafos and all the hard work that I know that he's put in behind the scenes.
It's been an electric season so far, with 12 races now in the books, 4 left to go. We'll see exactly how it's going to play out. But let's not dally around any longer. Let's head down to the CBR Winner's Circle, where we're joined by Team General's Tires, Jacob Rafos. Jacob, after a podium in the Rallycross World Championship last year, one of the youngest in iRacing history, you now become one of the youngest winners in iRacing history. What does it mean for you? I know Rallycross was somewhat tough for you. This has been a lot of fun. You've really turned some heads as well.
Yeah, dude, this is pretty good. And finally it became a win. That was just fantastic, dude. I loved it. It was, yeah, I appreciate the win. That was the best feeling, dude, in Pro R4 series after getting not that much luck, but yeah, we're finally here for something.
Jacob, you and I talked 6 weeks ago. I asked you, what's been the main struggle in transitioning? You said the teammates have been super helpful, working with the biggest team in short course racing, but short tracks were not where you were feeling strong. What happened? You won on a short track.
Yeah, finally I won that short track, but yeah, I've been better since 6 months ago on the short tracks, and I've been a lot helped by teammates, thankful all in the Jim Beavers, and basically all in the Jim Beavers have been really much helping me.
when I talk about young drivers, especially in esports, I think about the main focus is how they're mentally growing. What's changed for you between last year in the Rallycross World Championship and here as you continue to grow up and continue to grow into the potential that you really do have?
Yeah, it's last year World Championship, it was good, but I think this one can be even better. I placed, I think it was 8th last year in the Rallycross, and I got a podium. So I feel like the next tracks also, it's gonna be a show. Like I have like that. Those are my best tracks: Park River and Crandon.
9th last year in IRX, fighting for a top 10 again. It's been a good season so far. Still a couple of races left to go. Jacob, congratulations on the win. Let's see how things go from here.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank Jim Beaver Esports, Real Tire, Dirtfish, and pretty much all the guys at Jim Beaver, and also thanks to Christian Ruffles for spotting me.
It's a family affair in the Spottings booth, but after winning on national TV already in these trucks, Jacob Voss, an iRacing World Championship winner. Let's head over to the other CBR winner circle where we're joined by the new but somewhat old championship leader, Connor Barry, his second win of the season. And Connor, you've had to wait a while before you tasted victory again. What a wild ride the last couple of weeks have been for you. Dominating the championship last week, things took an unsavory turn, but back on top today. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, for sure. It's been tough. I have not been able to win since the second round, and it's just tough because I always qualify top 4-ish. I always get sent to like the 4 for the third row, which is always going to be a tough fight. But I've been able to make some moves, but I'm always just short of the win. And today I was able to qualify 4th, which had me starting 5th for the first main event. And I knew I had a shot at it. I just had to get through the first lap, and I was able to get behind Swain, and me and Swain just we left the field. We were gone, and I knew the battle was going to be between us, and I was able to make a pass on him, and I was able to get the first. And I'm not sure what went on with him, but I was able to win it, and I'm pumped to get back on top of the box.
So 4 races left. We go to the longer tracks now. The championship is up in the air. 2 drivers being the class of the field so far. Park River and Crandon, how confident are you going to some of the longer tracks? Does that benefit you? Does that benefit Keaton?
I think it's going to be the benefit will be for us both. It's obviously going to be probably more spread out between all of the time, so it's going to benefit us both. I think we are both going to be pretty fast, like how we've been this whole this whole season. So it's still going to be tough. It's very far from done, and I hope that I can keep it going and have some better luck next week at Park River.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about stuff going on in the real world as well. You're back in a pro light this weekend. Talk to us about the real racing you've been doing these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so I've been racing out on the East Coast, and I've been out to tracks like Crandon, Park River, and other ones. And I'll be racing this weekend out there again. I'm actually flying out right after this interview. And I also want to give a big shout out to my dad and Ezra. They are out there working on the truck, and they are still tuning in to watch this race. So it's cool to see that they are watching it from Wisconsin.
Whether it's real or virtual, it sounds great that you've got your family supporting you. We won't hold you any longer. Go catch that flight. Good luck this weekend. We'll see you in 7 days' time. We head to Park River.
Thanks, guys. And I want to give a big thanks to Jim Beaver Esports, General Tires, CBR, and Positive Energy.
Connor Barry from CBR Winner's Circle for just the second time this season. And given how dominant at the front of the championship he's been, it's somewhat a surprise to be saying that. It's only the second time he's emerged on top. Let's look at the standings though before we say goodbye to you from the desert. 2 longer tracks to come. They are fast, they are flowing. They will require drivers to make sure they understand where their cars are strong. 7 points will split Connor Barry and Keaton Swain. Yes, mathematically, Josh Edmondson, Felix Roy, and maybe even Killian Delomo could end up in the championship mix, but let's be honest, Josh, with just 4 races, just over 200 points left to grab. It is a 2-horse race. It is 2 names that not many are shocked to see emerge at the top and be fighting with 4 races left to go.
Yeah, this battle is between those top 2, and Keaton Swain it just made a mistake tonight and ended up falling back and into second place. I think is it going to be Barry's turn to make another mistake like we saw at Bark River earlier in the season? Is it going to be Keaton Swain? Is he going to keep making more mistakes? Is he going to be perfect? Is Connor going to be perfect? There's so many variables left and not a lot of time before we find out who's going to be the first ever champion of this series.
So that's the championship standings. Where are we going next? We're going back to the home of what will go down as one of the best iRacing championship finishes ever, if not the closest iRacing Off-Road Championship Series race. Josh Fox, Tommy Horman, side by side in the air to the line. It's Josh Fox almost 4 years to the day after he won in the Rallycross World Championship at Iowa that became an Off-Road Championship winner 3 weeks ago. But at the start of August, as we work our way to the closing stages of the season, we go back to the rolling hills of Michigan. We go back to the most technical track of the season.
Very, very technical indeed, and we saw how close these drivers could race and how aggressive they got with making those passes with how close the speed's been between all of these trucks. I'm excited to see what they do now. Round 2 at Bark River, and then with Crandon on the horizon as well for the championship finale.
And we'll be done on August 10th. It's only an 8-week championship, back to back to back to back. The drivers have had to be focused. They've had to roll with the punches. They've had to make sure they adapt to the changes the series has been throwing their way. What a ride it's been. Coming to Sparta, Nevada 3 weeks ago, 24 drivers stepped forward as gladiators looking to stake their claim to the 2022 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Heading out of Sparta, Nevada with just 2 rounds of the championship left to go, just 2 stand tall. Keaton Swain and Connor Barry look to become the first championship series winner. On behalf of the team at iRacing, on behalf of the team at RaceSpot TV, delighted to have your company here on a Wednesday evening for the most electrifying series across of sim racing. For Hugo Louise, for Joshua Lee, for myself, Arjuna Kankipati, we bid you farewell from the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series and the Wild West Motorsports Park. It's all to play for. 4 races are left to go. We'll see you next time on the iRacing Esports Network.